Good evening, citizens of Lewisburg. Welcome to our first meeting of 2024. For all of you that I haven't seen, I hope that you had a very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year. And thank you for coming out this evening to Lewisburg Town Hall. We'll begin this evening by having the clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Deal,
Here.
Councilor Stover,
Here.
Councilwoman Harris. Okay. Sorry. Councilwoman Stein. Here. Councilwoman Wright. Here. Councilwoman Baker. Here. Councilman Clancy.
Here.
Item number 2 on the agenda, invocation, and Councilwoman Wright, will we have you to give our invocation, please?
Welcome to everlasting kingdom, God, our heavenly Father, Lord, once again, we come to you, thanking you for another day. Thank you, Lord, for our first meeting, 2024. Thank you for those that have come out this evening to help with the town business, Lord. Let everything be done decently and in order. And let us remember that we're here for the citizens of Lewisburg to make sure everything goes along and build prosperous. Thank you for all you've done and what you have yet to do. These and other blessings I ask in your most precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Item number 3, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda for this evening. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening?
Mayor, did you state that we are changing number 7?
You are correct. Item number 7, I got a call from Mr. Case, the gentleman who will be putting on the presentation for Path and Way Marketing. Will not be able to be here tonight because of an emergency in his family, and we will postpone that or move it to a next agenda in the future. To make you aware of it. So item number 7 will not have that on tonight.
So I make a motion, Mayor, to amend the agenda to omit number 7 for a later date.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we amend the agenda for item 7, the presentation by Path and Way Marketing for a later time. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 5, approval of the minutes for our December 18th meeting, regular meeting. Can I get a motion for approval of those minutes?
Mayor, don't we have to make a motion to adopt the agenda, even though we just made a motion to take off number 7, we never adopted the agenda here.
Get a motion?
Make a motion to adopt that, yeah, with the addition of item number 7.
Second.
Moved and properly second that we adopt the agenda for this evening, absent of item 7. All approved?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, item number 5. The approval of the minutes for our December 18th, 23 meeting, regular meeting.
I make a motion to approve the monthly meeting for December. The minutes.
Second.
Remove properly second that we, approve the minutes for our December 18th, 2023 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Item number 6, the public comment. And at this time, citizens, we would allow you 3 minutes, to come before the council and, if you have any comments, you have the opportunity to do that now. Anyone who wishes to make any comments to the council?
Yeah, I want to make some comments. My name is Ryan Wagner. James, listen. My name is Ryan Wagner, 149 Creek Wall Road, Lewisburg. I saw this night's agenda that you guys are going to discuss a white flag shelter. I think that's very exciting for the town of Lewisburg, and to lead the way now. There is currently no white flag shelter, to my knowledge, across our entire county. With our new counselors, I'd like to see Lewisburg lead the way on that. I think it's the minimum that we can do for people in need. I will only do a small quote before I exit. The righteous care about justice for the poor, but the wicked have no such concern. I think we know where that comes from. I think that's our shared values here in Lewisburg, across the county. That's what we believe in, helping each other, helping the downtrodden. I'd like to see us lead the way. Thank you.
Beverly Kegley, 120 Jolly Street, Lewisburg, North Carolina. Members of the council, Mayor Neal, thank you for allowing me to speak. I also want to speak in favor of a white flag shelter. I'm not talking to you tonight, I will eventually, about a full shelter in Franklin County. But for most of you that have been outside, you know we're having freezing temperatures. I was gonna plant my peas today and I couldn't dig in the ground. So I know the ground is frozen. And I know that people are freezing all across this country. Franklin County does not have any type of shelter for humans. We certainly do not have a white flag shelter. White flag is not an everyday shelter. It is generally open to one at least in Wake County, and Wake County is pretty much, from my research, following the national trend. They open at 5 o'clock in the evening, and they close at 8 o'clock the next morning, which means people come in at 5, thereabouts, and they leave at 8 o'clock the next morning. So whatever the building, room, whatever it is, it's not used all the time. It's used through the night when people are freezing. But we might as well talk about it now because, unlike probably some of you in this room that love summer weather, I don't, but we will have hot weather again. So most of the time, shelters open during the summer when the heat index is 95 degrees or above. They open during the winter when the wind chill factor is 35 degrees or below. One thing I really would like to stress, white flag shelters are not just for people that are living on the street. Actually, you're gonna have very few of those folks come into your shelter. You're gonna have people that are living in homes where they can't afford heat, or where they don't have heat, or where their heat is broken, or where on a day like today and the temperatures we've been having, a heat pump doesn't cut it. So these are things I just would like for you to think about. I don't think this is a build it and they will come situation. I think this is a build it or they will die. Thank you.
Evening. I'm Elder Jesse Daniel by way of 304 Rootwood Drive here in Lewisburg. I happen to be one of the local ministers here, and I work with the homeless on a daily basis. And I know at one time when I was out in the streets due to my drug addiction, I was once homeless myself by choice. That was 20 years ago. But I go out there, I deal with the people on a daily basis, feeding them from my home. Either I purchase food from Carl C's, go to Walmart, get different items, and plate it up and take it out there on the streets because as well as taking out coats, socks, blankets to Ms. Beverly Gately, Pastor Dunston of Allen Chapel Church, to me, helping with these homeless people. There is a great need, and I feed anywhere from 8 to 10 of them at any given time. I feed 5 days a week, mostly out of my pocket or through people making donations. Because I am a retired disabled veteran, and God makes provision for me to go out there to help these people because I try to live by the word of God. You know, love thy neighbor as thyself. And I remember when I was out there, help was sent my way. But I mostly did my homelessness up in the North Virginia area before I moved back down to Lewisburg. But there is a great need because I don't only feed them naturally, I also feed them spiritually, so to help them try to come up out of the situation that they are in, that they don't have to stay in that predicament. I think that's very important because people give them people need help to try to come up out of their circumstances situation. And one of those ways to be spiritual. But mainly I try to lead by example, show them the love that I have for them by my actions. You know, you can tell people you love them, but what are your actions? Do you show acts of kindness, compassion, care? You know, these people need that. You know, more than anything else and more than any other time in the world, they need love shown to them. And a shelter is a very, very appropriate way of showing that love to those that are in need of shelter. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Bobby Cooper, 701 North Main Street, Lewisburg. A couple of things on the minutes from last meeting. Lorraine Ryan spoke in reference to the Old Town Lewisburg Christmas tour and said how well organized, how wonderful it was. Yet the minutes only reflected that she spoke on behalf of Akron Counseling, but she did nothing this work. So I'd like to, that was not corrected during the approval of the minutes. That's an omission on the part here. Another little tidbit. I'm not a fan of these anticipatory public comments that we're here speaking in advance of what's going to take place tonight, instead of us being able to speak at the end with what actually does happen, which I think would be appropriate. But here you chose to change it. I guess that's your prerogative since you do set the agenda. But I just wanted to make that part of my comments. The other thing I wanted to address is, sir, thank you for your service, veteran. I do appreciate that. Ms. Kegley and I have had hours of conversation. We don't always agree, but we do have discussion. And one of your comments, one of your items tonight is the white flag shelter. Not a lot of description of what that translates to, but it's a tag to affordable housing. And affordable housing, I know several of you ran on that notion. It's not a difficult concept, but it's not really complex, but it's difficult because it's simple rule of economies. It's supply and demand. The demand is high, costs are up. Inflation is up, costs are up. Inflation is up over the last 3 years combined. Things are now 20% higher than they were 3 years ago. During something. The demand in our market is high because we're the last spoke coming outside of the RTP to be developed. Part of that is by design, and part of it is because of the way we're governed. But just the simple rules of economics, supply and demand, drive the cost up. Unfortunately, when the government tries to fix things, it ends up it adds another layer of cost. So I think that prosperity is the solution, something I've preached since I moved here in 2006, that my expectation as a citizen of this town is that the council's role and government's role in my life is to increase the value of our property. And increasing the value by increasing the worth of our community. And prosperity is what brings us out of poverty and gives us the coffers to be able to do the things that we can do better. So we're in a small town, so not much happens without us saying things. And it's my understanding there was a meeting held in the town hall that staff was brought in. No, I'm running out of my 3 minutes. I see Pam waving.
Great, yeah. Have to figure out. Rule is that we have 3 minutes.
Right, and you have the opportunity to extend another couple of minutes. And I'd ask for that if I can get that.
Okay, I would allow you.
It's actually a motion of the town.
I would allow you 2 more minutes.
All right. So that meeting was held, from my understanding, held by Mayor Neal, I'm assuming, but I understand staff attended the meeting. And some of the council elect attended by virtue of the cars I saw. So my concern is this was in advance of actual, before anybody was sworn in. I'm not sure who was there at that. But my concern is if things were brought in that were outside of the scope of what they should have been brought into, was there any personnel, et cetera, discussed. The other thing about that is I hope that new council has had a chance to take a look at our coffers and recognize how depleted they are from frivolous spending from years ago. And I'm hoping that before we start looking at more ways to spend money, that we can take a closer look at increasing property values and doing smarter things for our expenditures. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Kelly Fairway. I live at 107 North Elm Street. I'm also a realtor, commercial and residential in Raleigh and Fairfield. And where I'm having to really wrap my head around this disparity that we have here in the county, we have the towns around us that are thriving. And instead of us focusing on our town and focusing on what we can do to raise our property values, we seem to be reaching for other things to do. We have a great interfaith council that has the ability, with all the churches that are around us, to house people that don't have anywhere to live. And I think that it's a misuse of funds for us to do something other than that. If you look at the graph I just sent you, you'll see that our property values in the last 10 years haven't really risen much. But if you look at the ones below it for Youngsville and for Franklinton, they're through the roof. And the fundamental problem with this is that home buying is how most people get their generational wealth. And it builds so that the next generation, so that your kids and your children are able to be more prosperous. And I think that until we do something different to really rein that in, we're just going to be behind the 8 ball. And for us to be the county seat, it appears that we are taking the back seat. And I would like to see us do something different and not bring in lots of homeless people. I pulled the numbers, and it looks like our homeless rate has actually gone down from 2014 to 2022. It's declined 5.6%. So it's the poverty level of the people that would need this on a full-time basis would be bad. Mayor Baldwin in Raleigh right now is having to assign public businesses are having to hire their own private security because of all the homelessness in downtown Raleigh. I don't want us to get in that position. So.
Joyce Neff, 203 John Street. I think that the last two speakers made some very good points and some arguable points. I think that prosperity is something we would all like to have for all of our citizens. We also have to look at the humanistic aspect, and I want to make it very clear that there are many parts to affordable housing, and homelessness is the one that people kind of glom onto because it's a difficult one, and it's an unsolvable one. It's a moving target, and I think that there are many things we can do about that. My concern for housing is not for the homeless. I'm concerned about that, but my focus is on I think that we like our workers to live locally, our cops, our teachers, our EMS people, and at their salaries, they can't buy a house many times with one income. So that's the housing that I'm most wanting us to have. We don't have any houses that are in that. I'm from St. Louis. We had individual houses that were small and had one bathroom and one bedroom. We also had duplexes. You buy the whole structure. You rent one half to pay your mortgage. We did it like that. So, yeah, that's my. And we have generational wealth is a very good concept, but many of us have not had that opportunity. So we need to get in there and help those people out. I certainly want a white flag place. I thank you, Bill, for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Okay. We're moving on to our item number 8, discussion of the white flag. And Councilman Over.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm doing my job. I haven't said the word public since I got sworn in, and yet I'm criticized on social media, and I think it started a hailstorm of discussion. Hope that's a good thing. But let me address some of this criticism. First, the mayor and I were criticized for belonging to a volunteer organization whose primary purpose is to help see everyone has their basic needs met. Secondly, that I should let the churches take care of the needs. And finally, that how dare I propose a shelter that would bring those people to Lewisburg and would lower our property value. Well, first, I don't think the first criticism deserves a response. 2, as to letting the churches take care of the problem, well, we just had the coldest week in the year, and I didn't see a single church open their doors, single church in Lewisburg open their doors to these people. Finally, I don't represent those people. I represent all people who live within the borders of Lewisburg. I too would like to see a gradual rise in our property value. But a rapid rise in our property values does a lot of harm to the citizens who are trying to keep a roof over their heads on a fixed income or a low income. So we have to be very careful how we raise property value. But that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. I'm talking about a white flag shelter. For those of you who don't know what a white flag shelter is, it is simply a shelter to provide a warm place for people to stay when the temperatures, including the wind chill factor, drop below 35 degrees. That is a temperature that is life-threatening. And if you are unable to get a proper shelter to protect you against that kind of temperature, you can die. And that happens every day in this country. Typically, a white flag shelter opens around 5 or 6 at night and closes around 8 or 9 the next morning. What I am proposing is the town consider using this space that we're sitting in or the training space over on Industrial Drive. These spaces already exist, they're already heated, so there's really no additional expense to the town to provide the space. The only expense might be that the town may have to provide 1 or 2 employees to supervise the shelter while it's open. But most of the work inside the shelter could be handled by partnering with the Interfaith Council and other NGOs in the local area. There's also organizations that will actually provide the cots and blankets and pillows and such. They'll come in, put that in when you open the shelter, and they'll come back the next morning and pick it up. So what I would like to propose is that we direct our town staff to investigate what would be involved for the town to provide space for a white flag shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stover. Any questions from the council to Dr. Stover on this issue?
Dr. Stover, so the funding for that would also come from the town? For the salaries of the employees and such, that would be,
That's what needs to be investigated. Okay, I'm proposing we look at it. So, you know, I would suspect there would be some expense, but I also suspect.
And I may say, the town will not hire salaried people to supervise the children. There will be volunteers that will come in for that time, which will be less than 24 hours to supervise this shelter. And the cost would be extremely minimal to the town, more just providing heat or light. Carts will be provided by another agency, cost unrelated to the town. Southside Neighborhood Association has agreed if there is any requirements for a sandwich or something, they will provide that. So they are willing to pitch in. And so what is being asked is just simply in a time of need. I remember just a few days ago, the temperature, the wind chill factors were down in single digits. The news media requested that if you own a pet that was outside at that time, take precaution. Let alone a human being on the street or a family in a home with no heat, with young kids. Gee, how are we going to make it through the night of this cold? And I doubt many of us who are in this room tonight experienced that wind chill factor a few days ago. We were all blessed to have some form of shelter, some form of heat to make it through the night. And in some homes, water froze because the pipes froze in some homes. That's cold. So I think it's extremely minimal gesture that the town can do its part of just simply having a roof over some citizens' head for a few hours. That would not, and I'm puzzled as to how that will lower property value.
As far as like this last cold snap that we were in, if anybody that was out on the street and without any shelter or heat, I'm just asking for.
Well, I know of 4 myself of homeless people who I have no idea where they went that night. But that is something they could just come just to get out of the cold for a few hours and then leave.
Eric, could I address that? That's part of my proposal, is we don't know for sure exactly what those numbers are. And part of this is sort of a study. Let's see how much is out there. What is the need? It may be 2, 10, maybe 20. It may vary from night to night. Somebody's heat goes out because they can't pay their power bill, or their furnace goes out, or they just got turned out because of an eviction. You know, that number may go up. Those people are able to meet those needs, and then the number goes down. But that would be part of doing this, is trying to determine just what is the need, and what can we do to try to meet that.
I have a question. I know that the Interfaith Council was a big part of the Give Me Shelter. I believe it was part of that document that you guys put forth in the community. What is the county doing for homelessness or for shelters?
As far as I know, no.
So the county's not doing anything. So regardless of how we look at this, so you're asking that we consider putting a white flag facility in 2 of the towns.
One of the 2.
One of the 2, both of them that house millions of dollars worth of equipment that is necessity, nothing short of a necessity for the town. And you're asking the people of this community to fund it, because regardless of how you look at it, there is an expense. So why is it that these organizations, he mentioned one that was willing to provide food.
Southside Neighborhood Association.
Okay, so is there no church or organization that has any space that is willing to take in people for the day or for the evening? The same. Most of these are not funded by a town. It's not technically the responsibility of the citizens of this community to do this. This should not be an action. This should be an action of a 501c3. So is there no organization like that that's willing to do this for the community? I've done a lot of research since I saw this on the agenda, and it's generally not the town's responsibility. The liability alone, I cannot imagine, because there is liability. And that liability comes back to the people of this community that are the taxpayers. That's who we answer to, all the taxpayers.
Well, a large percentage of those taxpayers put me in this position. And frankly, I think it is the town's responsibility. And the town's responsibility is to see that the basic needs of the citizens living within its borders are met. And no other organization has been able to come forward with a space. We have been moved. We have talked to the hospital. They have turned us down. No church has yet. Now, there's churches out in the county that have. There's none in Lewisburg yet that have stepped forward and offered to have that space. Now, these organizations are willing to partner with the town to run this organization. These people who would be using the shelter would not be unsupervised, so there is no risk to the equipment. And the cost is, as the mayor said, I believe will be minimal. So, to my way of thinking, maybe I'm, out the fringes here, but I believe that human life is more important than a few bucks.
Mayor, an option, and this is just a thought. Like the building that comes to mind that would be an option for this, what we're talking about, like the old Paulson Anderson Funeral Home building. I'm sure it's a wide open space and got plenty of room. Would that be an option to explore as far as a facility to facilitate something like that?
Well, no, that building is not inhabitable. There was work that has been done inside that building that is, walls have been torn down. So it's in the middle of a construction, so that is not habitable at this time.
It's just a thought. I mean,
Maybe, can I say something?
Not at the moment. This is the wrong discussion of the council.
I just have a question. Who makes the decision if a tornado, hurricane comes through a town to open a shelter for the people to go to the shelter? Is that the Red Cross or
Yes, I think that decision.
County emergency,
county emergency?
emergency management.
Okay, so, oh, whether it's not on that county emergency.
I have a question. What I'm hearing is we're doing back and forth questions about whether we should help people or not. Am I in here, am I hearing that clearly? The back and forth question was about property value, these people, but when it's basic human life, I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to understand that, have anybody in here ever been homeless? I have. Have anybody in here ever been on a fixed income? I have. I'm on a one income person. So and you make a lot of money. I'm gonna teach you how to make Well, my comment is that we were elected by citizens to protect the citizens and to serve the citizens. That is my concern, is to serve the citizens. And if we have a need, what is the major issue? Is it property value? It's a lot of back and forth questions about a white flag. It's cold outside. People need help. Isn't that our job to help people? Isn't that what we were elected for, to help people? I mean, am I right or am I wrong?
It's also our job to make sure that the town has the funding to do our infrastructure in town. Our infrastructure has been, delayed for years right now. We're still waiting for $400,000 so that we can all use our commodes in town. I bet the day that when we don't have burners at the sewage plant and no one can flush their toilet in town, I bet you would see a lot more people here than what we see today. There's priorities, and I am the first one. I'm one of the people that give the blankets and fill the food boxes and drop off food to people. Cannot find more compassion for it. It is not our job to take the money from the taxpayers to do one small entity. I feel if people want to donate to that, there are avenues for them to go down to support that. I don't think it's our place to put this policy to life.
You keep talking about funding as if it is a capital outlay. It's simply a gesture to help our fellow man. The only cost that would, if any at all, the town would provide is just simply, which we provide you now, light. We have heat in our building. That is all that this white flag is about. It's not about spending a whole bunch of money. Just have a person to come in and stay out of the cold. Just have a family to come in and just stay out of the cold for one night. And then there may be the next night, the weather is above freezing, where it will not dictate the use of a white flag. And this is merely a temporary housing shelter. We have it nowhere in this county. Nowhere in this town. This would just simply be, I think it would be the right thing to do for the town of Lewisburg to step forward and make a gesture of this type for its citizens.
Mayor, can I call for a question?
Now, I think we're discussing. We get a motion.
I make a motion that we agree to open the white flag shelter.
The proposal was
To study, yeah, to study for the white flag.
I thought I had already made a motion, did I not?
you opened the conversation.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Say it loud.
I make a motion that we have the study for a white flag shelter in the city of Lewisburg.
That's to instruct our administrator to.
Yes, the administrative people in charge to see if it's at any cost, any, that we can do, have everything.
Heard the motion? I second. We move and properly second that we instruct our town administrator to look into the feasibility for its cost necessary setting up, running a white flag center in the town of Lewisburg. All in favor? Let it be known by the raise of your hand. All opposed? Thank you. Item number 9 on the agenda is the reinstatement of the council compensation. Several months ago, the council voted to suspend the compensation for the members of the town council. That amount at that time was $100. That is the compensation that we as the council members receive for their service. I'd like to make a motion to reinstate that amount of $100 for all the council members. Now, this does not include the mayor. For the reinstatement of the council, of the compensation for the council. Usually, during our budgeting process, that's the time where we can set new and or reduce the amount for the council. But my motion is to reinstate that. There are questions?
Mayor, I have a question. I was part of that motion that asked that we, surrender our pay to help fund at that time the amount of money that we were paying out for the town employees since they had not had a pay study in over 20 years. Although it was not a grand gesture of oodles and noodles of money, but it was a gesture in good time. That was the reason why the motion was made. But in order to do the reinstatement of our compensation, I'm sure you're aware that there is in our charter, it states that, we can, of course, establish our salaries from time to time, but salaries for council members shall be fixed at the time of the annual, when our appropriation ordinance is adopted, and which is July. That's when we do our budget. Currently, there's nothing in the budget for the council members' pay. And salaries so fixed may be reduced, but not increased for council members to take effect during the year in which the council increases voted. And that's pursuant to our charter section 230 compensation. So according to this, if I'm reading this correctly, of course, our town attorney is here, but according to this, when we do our budget and adopt that, we can put it back in the budget, but it states clearly that you cannot do that for the year in which you agree to give yourself a pay. That's according to the, our charter that we follow, our government.
Well, that may be an issue that our town attorney can address. However, that would not be an increase. That would just simply be bringing it back to the regular, normal amount.
Yes, sir. Currently it's 0, so it would be an increase.
That was a question,
Well, you can amend the budget at any time, I mean, that's done.
That's what I hope. And you can, but we haven't
So-
done that, and 2, it states in our charter that it's for a year past when you, adopt your new budget.
Well, I think you could reinstate it.
This is
We have a
also,
motion on the table, right?
yes, and we're in the question part of the
Well,
motion.
then we have to have a second.
Yeah. So it's, been moved and properly second. That we reinstate council compensation of $100 for council. All in favor of this motion? Aye. All opposed? That count. 4. So motion passed. Thank you.
Well, that ought to be made in conjunction with a motion to amend the budget.
Amend the motion, that we be in conjunction with amending the budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Shouldn't the public have comment on a budget amendment? Mr. Attorney? On the budget amendment, is there a public comment?
Oh,
Right, so that's not on the agenda. That needs to be moved to the next meeting. Am I wrong?
we can make a budget. We can, well, I mean, not a budget, but we can make the motion.
You can make your motion, but you can't amend the budget without it being a public hearing.
Not necessarily. There are some line items that can be moved around in the budget without calling a public comment, every time, because in the function of day-to-day operations of the municipalities, the town and manager has discretion to move various line items among the budget in order to cover certain expenses, not major capital outlays. So the motion has passed. Reinstatement is reinstated. Item number 10, administrator's report.
Mayor Neal, Town Council, in front of you tonight, we have the administrator's report, which includes the September financials for the Lewisburg ABC store, and I'm working to complete the financial statements for September for the town. Staff has met with Oakland Collier, where staff received preliminary site plans for the Depot Hill project, and we have discussed that with the North Carolina Department of Transportation's Rail Division. Initial response has been favorable to obtain a lease agreement for using the bike trail right away adjacent to the Depot Hill building. Also, a preliminary building design should be completed. Wednesday evening, January the 17th, we had yet another accident with a landscaped bump out on North Main Street. Staff has contacted NCDOT, and we will be working to find an alternate remedy as possible. The burned house at 111 Church Street, which sits behind Town Hall, was demolished with the cooperation of the property owner. The property owner is looking to sell this lot. We have received inquiries regarding the property and have forwarded the owner's contact information to those interested. Staff has completed remedial soil and erosion control measures in anticipation of the Army Corps of Engineers issues that had been previously identified. With weather changes, staff has been busily working to repair water leaks throughout town. We want to let you know we appreciate your patience as our staff endeavors to get the repairs complete. Thank
I have a quick question, sir. I thought one time you, in your report, you mentioned that there would be something new going on Johnson Street. Have you heard anything about them closing that off?
We're still working on getting everything finalized for that. So yes, ma'am. We have one of our issues was we want to make sure that fire apparatus can sort of get over it. And because there would be an access barrier there if we do too much. So we're working with, DOT to make sure that barrier is minimal, that we can get fire apparatus to it.
And just for, the public knowledge, will we be moving our February meeting since it falls on the federal holiday?
Because the time to take.
Because in our policies and procedures book, it states it's a holiday for the town. I'm just making sure, just looking for clarification.
Clarification is that we will continue to have our meetings on the third Monday night. The only exception was on the Martin Luther King birthday. That's the only exception that we moved our meetings to the court.
Just want to make sure since it is a holiday.
Next, mayor's report, item number 11. We don't have too much for January meeting as far as some of the activities that I attended. It's only a few meetings, very much important, but it is participate in the Martin Luther King Day ceremonies and activities originated here on the courthouse steps, moving to the St. Paul Presbyterian Church. That was the big event that involved.
On tonight, Hampshire voters prepare to make their choice between the only two remaining
ceremony, which we held every year. That was my main activity for the month of yeah. Item number 12, police report. Any particular thing that you would like to bring to our attention now, or we could refer to our report to anything you want to say.
Up to you, Mayor. I can go over it, or up to you.
Okay, being this is the first year, let me just ask you, just give some of your report. Council.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is the January 2024 council report from the police department. Number one on the report is the employee actions and recognitions. On January the 9th, was National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We had a number of businesses, churches, and individuals bring gifts by the police department. I want to say thank you for that. Number two is recruiting and retention. Captain Cliff Stevens, who is here tonight, has announced that he will retire at the end of this month after serving 27 years as a police officer. He began his career in policing in 1997 when he came to work with us as a patrol officer. He served his entire professional career here in Lewisburg, moving up through the ranks to the second in command of the agency. He has been an anchor, loyal and solid, capable leader, and he will be missed. I want to publicly thank him for his service and wish him the best in a well-deserved retirement. We will have an opportunity to show our appreciation to Captain Stevens at a retirement party that will be held at the Operations Center on Wednesday, January 31st at 6 p.m. Everyone with the council, mayor, you guys are invited to join. Number 3 is complaints against the police officers and findings that were none for a month. Number 4 is use of force in vehicle pursuits that were none for a month. Number 5 is notable investigations and operations. That list is there for your review. A couple of things to highlight will be on January the 8th. We arrested an individual who broke into the old Greenhill Country Club. He broke in, stole a bunch of copper wire, copper pipe, and Mr. Ryan Murray here actually called the individual, called us, and we're actually able to get him apprehended on the thing. Thank you, Mr. Murray, for helping us out. Also, on the 12th, we had a shooting on Rolling Leaf Drive. So two friends, led to the shooting. We were able to arrest the individual right away, and there was no ongoing threat. Number 6 is the budget summary. We are 50% of the way through the fiscal year 2023-2024 operating budget. 62% of that budget has been encumbered as of November 30th. That should read December 30th. My apologies. As far as grants go, we are in the process of applying for the 2024 North Carolina Governor's Crime Commission grant. Number 7 is a training summary. Staff has received training in the Police Law Institute, which is a 2-week course designed by the North Carolina Justice Academy to cover an array of policing topics and also death investigation. Number 8 is community outreach and the special events. On January the 8th, officers attended funeral service for a former Lewisburg police captain, Sylvester Bud Harris, who passed away on the year's day at age 85. I was honored to speak on behalf of the town at this funeral service. He was a Lewisburg police officer from August the 17th, 1970, to October the 31st, 1993. He retired at the age of 55 with 23 years of honorable service to the town. And also on January 15th, officers attended and assisted with the Martin Luther King holiday activities here in town. Number 9 is your monthly stats that are attached to your packet. And number 10 is special request every month. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 13, agenda, our fire report. One from the fire department.
I'm Captain Womack with the fire department. Chief Lamb was not able to make it. We have a few personnel stuff that went on. Chief Lamb assisted Durham Fire Department with a captain's promotional assessment. He was an assessor for that between December 11th and the 14th. Myself was promoted to fire captain effective December 13th. I replaced Randy Seal that retired. We hired one new part-timer, Colin Pruitt. He's actually with Commissioner's Fire Department volunteer in Henderson full-time fire department. Had 2 volunteer members retire from the department, Russell Bottoms and Wayne Smith. And 1 member did not meet the 36 hours of training, so he's not active with the fire department anymore.
Thank you. Item number 14. Councilman Clancy, would you like to share with us?
The comments that we want to wish everybody happy New Year.
Councilwoman Lee?
Yeah, I'd mostly like to extend some thanks, especially I think to our line workers through that storm that got us back up and going as soon as possible with safety in mind. You're very appreciated, but not just them. We have Imagine Our Streets and Public Works crew, everybody, I think, is out that Wednesday. I know I picked up some branches in my backyard, and within 5 minutes, the truck was there to fill up. And you can really see the presence of everybody trying to get us back on track and keep us safe. So, very appreciated. All these water leaks we've had, the crews helping with those, much appreciated. They'll get us back up and running as soon as possible. I know a lot of work goes into that. Other than that, I want to extend a congratulations to Captain Clark on your promotion, and to Captain Stevens as well. Congratulations on your upcoming retirement. 27 years is quite an accomplishment, and service and dedication of you and all the others in our departments make this community so special. So please know you're appreciated.
Councilwoman Wright?
I'd just like to say, Happy New Year to those that I have not seen. And I also appreciate the service we had during the storm, but thank God my power stayed on the whole time. The flights were there 3 times and everything. And so I did not know how much power was out in Lewisburg until my daughter called me from down by the Outer Banks saying, you don't have power. I said, yes. And she said, well, it's on TV, said Lewisburg is out of power. I said, I don't. Thank God for that. And, I also participated in St. August Mobile. And Thursday now I have my first call meeting of the new year in Henderson. I have a meeting at 6 o'clock to be in there. So that's good.
On the side.
I'd like to thank the people that came out to Oakwood Cemetery and helped us pick up the wreath, the Costa America wreath. That was a wonderful event. Mark your calendars, December 14th of 2024 is our next event. I'm already excited about that. Art Thompson from our electrical department is retiring this month also. And I know that he will be greatly missed. Appreciation to him for his time that he has spent and graced us with his immeasurable talents through the last few years that he's worked here. So if you have leads that need to go to the end of your property, you might want to get that done before the rain starts later. Wish you all well and stay healthy. There's a lot of illness out there.
Councilwoman Woods.
I would like to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you to our amazing workers, our police officers, our fire department, our public works department, who work so tirelessly to help keep our city running. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Councilman Stover.
Our church has restarted our chimes thanks to the vote of this council. I want to personally thank this Stein for spearheading that. And if it is too loud to anybody, please let us know. We'll try to adjust the line. I have two things I'd like us to consider. First, we meet on the same night as the county commission does. And that creates a lot of conflicts for a lot of folks who would like to attend both meetings. Also, there are times where I think we should be there and vice versa. They should be here. So I think we ought to consider moving our meeting to the second or fourth Monday. And I'd like our staff to look at that and see if that would create any particular conflicts. Secondly, I would like a comprehensive review of the Depot Hill situation. Our editor has remarked that we have 3 new members, and he's quite correct, and then we're not necessarily up to speed on exactly what has happened. And I'd like a complete history, starting with the original proposal to where we are right now, what has happened to the funds, what have we spent, what has happened to the grant money that was available, so on and so forth. Because I don't feel comfortable moving forward on this project until I have that complete history. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Item number 15, closed session. I'd like to get a motion that we go into closed session to discuss real estate 143, Act 318-11, well as contract 143, 318-11, A5 contract. Personnel 143, 318-11, A-6.
Mayor, I make the motion that we go into closed session. Discuss real estate, contracts, personnel, item number 143-318-11. Section A, 143-318-11, section A.
Good. It's been moved and properly seconded, going to go to the end. The real estate, contract, and all in favor? All opposed? Citizens, this process will not be very long. The meeting is not over yet. However, you are welcome to stay until after our closed session. That's really good. Now, you are leaving, I want to thank you all for coming out.
Hey, Larry.